number one fitness question asked in the world. How do I get a six-pack of abs in 30 minutes straight? It's going to take a little bit longer than that. It will definitely take a little bit longer than that. But at least it's simple. At least there's not a million steps to get them. There's really just two. Well, you can do it a few different ways, but there's two main kind of end states which you need to get to, and then you'll have some cool midsection lines going on. Thank you. So step one is you need to develop your abs, muscularly enough to the point where they're actually fucking, kind of big and defined. Like, I'm sure somebody who's pretty lean, or you've seen someone who's like diced, like peeled, like fucking, back of the hand skin lean all over the place. But, his abs are like super flat. Like his stomach is just kind of like skin, and just because he's super lean doesn't mean they're just going to be popping out like fucking magic. So that's where the term, abs are built in the kitchen, that's where I disagree. That's where I am going to disagree a little bit. And for me, I was kind of spoiled, because it's not like I was weightlifting back when I did like diving and gymnastics, because that was like my main shit from like elementary school up to like the middle of high school. So apart from doing like some regular athletic kind of workouts for that stuff, a lot of the times we were doing a lot of ab work. I'm talking leg lifts and pike ups and fucking crunches and stuff. So even before I was like starting actual weightlifting, I kind of had abs already. So a little bit ahead of the game there. But the only reason that we had them, or like the only reason you see some kid and he's got fucking abs at like 10 years old, it's because he works them out. He hits them. And do you have to do a street workout? Do you have to do like leg lifts where you're hanging from a bar and you touch your toes to your hands? Do you have to do that kind of stuff, or fucking sit here and do a 3-minute plank to get a six-pack? I don't think so. Abs are an interesting muscle because you can get them in a few different ways, but I think a lot of like typical ab exercises which you would think of, like, you ever see what's that one movie? It's Mark Wahlberg. I was about to say Pumping Iron. I don't remember. You ever see somebody do like where they hang upside down on a bar and they're doing like upside down crunches? Or, really anything. Fucking leg lifts up to the bar, some shit like that, or like, planks and stuff. Those are going to work your abs, sure, but I think those are really fucking inefficient movements, This may just be because I kind of approach everything in the same way when it comes to training. But if I want to train a muscle and grow it, then that means that I've got to stimulate it, primarily with load. So if I want a big chest, I'm not going to sit here and do like 30 reps of wide grip push-ups, 30 reps of normal stance push-ups, and then 30 sets of diamond push-ups. I'm not going to do something like that. I'm going to load up some weight on a Smith machine or a bench or a, hammer strength press. I'm going to fucking do a set of 10. So I do the same thing with abs, Instead of sitting around and doing like 1,000 crunches, even though doing some crazy shit like that would work, I'm going to do some cable curls. Or no, what am I saying? Some kneeling cable crunches. Anybody who's seen Pumping Iron, you know what I'm talking about, right? You got some, it's the same setup as like a tricep pushdown. You got the rope, shoulder level, and then you take a few steps back, kneel down, and just start doing some fucking weighted crunches. Because then you're not just burning out your abs with what would technically be like lighter weight if you were to sit here and just do like toe touches, you know, where like you lay down and you'd fucking touch each toe back and forth. You know, if you were to, for every week, or just add it into your split, do, 5 or 6 sets of heavy cable crunches or machine crunches. If you hit them just like you hit every other muscle, guess what? They're going to develop. And one kind of special thing about abs is once you do have them developed, like once they're big enough to the point where even when you're a little bit softer, like I'm not talking, like overweight fat, but even when you get some fat on you, you can still see them. They're not going anywhere because they get worked enough to be maintained just by walking around and doing your shit as a lifter. Every time I do a set of tricep push downs, I have to flex my abs to keep my body from just fucking leaning backwards, because my triceps or my hands are doing a force downward. So I kind of have to match that with my abs. Plus, every time you flex in the mirror, you're gonna fucking, flex them. You're just constantly using them. And do not forget, it is much easier to maintain a muscle than it is to build it in the first place. And the fact that you just use them so much all the time, they're not going anywhere. So I will do abs when I diet down, partially just because it's kind of cool to have an ab pump, as silly as that sounds, especially when you're lean enough to actually see it. So I will do a few sets of cable crunches today, but I kind of this is kind of a bait and switch. This is my cardio trip. But cardio in the title, that scares some folks off. That scares a few folks off. But fuck, what was I about to say? I was about to say something. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, that's what I did to actually build them up in the first place. I was not sitting around. Well, actually, I guess that's not true. I was doing all the leg lifts and the silly ab workouts. They're not silly, but those are more conditioning work, in my opinion. Like that's kind of that's some CrossFitter activity for sure. Not saying it doesn't work, of course, but I want to approach my muscle stimulation as efficiently as possible. So, I'm not going to tell somebody they're wrong for doing like an hour-long ab workout of leg lifts and crunches and just fucking all sorts of stuff. But I think they could get the same amount of damage done on their midsection with ab machines, man. I've used some, it's not at all Planet Fitnesses, it's just at some. But I went to one which had it's got like this plate, no, it's not plate load, it's a weight stack. But it's like a machine ab crunch where you hold on to some handles up here and your legs get locked into some pads, and just the action of kind of crunching lifts the weight. So that's where the load is from. And after fucking 10 reps of a solid weight, I think hitting abs to failure will do you good. My only other tip when it comes to ab training is probably don't do any side loaded work. Like where you see a video of someone holding like a 50-pound dumbbell and they're doing side leans, right? So they're trying to work like their like their obliques. I've done that before, and I don't think it's really necessary. And I think it's also a little bit counterproductive, because by working the sides of your abs, like sure, if you're a fucking strength athlete, or if you're a rugby player, if you're a football player, it's gonna be good. Those are some serious stabilizers which are gonna make you much more effective as an athletic being. But for the most part, when a muscle gets stronger, it is also going to get a bit bigger. And for me, I don't really want a bigger, or at least not a thicker midsection from the front. So I say hit the the middle of your abs as hard as you want. It's kind of, it's hard to get a muscle too big anyway, but you're definitely not going to overgrow your fucking like classic abs right here down the middle. But if you do a lot of side oblique work, you can kind of thicken up your waist in a way which, I just don't think it looks that good. Right? And that's your own preference. If you want a real blocky waist, want your abs to be your strong suit, then go for it. I'm not going to stop you. But that is kind of a consequence of doing direct side ab work, is it will thicken you up for the front. So I stay away from that. I definitely stay away from that. Plus, when you do a normal fucking crunch, everything here is going to get flexed. It's all going to get worked. At least a little bit. That's why I'm not too picky when it comes to like, what kind of curl should I do to target my outer head or inner head. If you do a fucking alternating dumbbell curl, where you kind of twist it on the way up, I'm pretty sure you're hitting the whole fucking thing. But the plan now is to go play on my phone for 30 minutes on the seated bike. And then we can do... there's an ab machine at this gym too. Maybe I'll go back and forth. Maybe I'll do like 4 or 5 sets of cable curls, or cable crunches, and then... I don't know. After just 4 sets of cable crunches, I'm pretty sure my abs are going to be on fucking fire. So I might just call it there. But if you're curious, that's my approach with abs. That's my approach. But that's my approach. As long as you can feel them being worked and you're going hard, do whatever feels cool, man. Right? Do 100 sit-ups. Do whatever. If you feel it working, odds are it probably is. At least a little. But enough ab talk. Let's go actually do it. I should be kind of sweaty by then. Jesus, I feel like I'm just sweating right now. Oh, I got the heat on. What the hell am I doing? But whatever. 30 minutes cardio plus abs. Let's go. Alright, I forgot I was going in to do a little bit of extra abdominal work and not just my normal cardio. So I left the whole camera bag in the car. But you can imagine. I'll let you freaking imagine. Obviously, I'm sure you've seen someone sit on the seated bike. And I'm sure you've seen someone use an ab machine before. But let's get back into dieting talk itself. Is it that hard? Is it that hard to lose body fat? Not really. Not really. It physically takes much less work for me to cut, to diet down than it is for me to bulk up, and eat more food, because I've got to get more food ready. I've got to actually sit and spend more time eating. There's just more effort in gaining weight. The only issue is losing body fat. It's a bit more tricky on the mental side. You're getting real primal when you're trying to lose body fat, because it's kind of a fucking, you're genetically programmed to where, oh man, I'm hungry, I gotta eat, I'm a little bit hungry, that means I gotta eat some food right now, enough food to the point where I'm not hungry. You know what I'm saying? So to diet down is, in a way, to kind of go against your body's natural instincts. So it will require a little bit of mental toughness. Like, I'm sure if you're a wrestler, you know what I'm talking about. You've gone to bed hungry. I've never tried to water cut before, like deplete myself that way. So that's probably its own thing. But food wise, yeah, man. I'm kind of hungry right now. Of course I'm gonna go eat, but if I want to lose body fat, which I do, that means I've got to stay in a calorie deficit, which means that, for the most part, I am going to be hungrier than I am full, and that's just the fucking nature of it. So it's kind of mean. It's kind of mean to say it so bluntly, but if you know somebody who's like, oh, it's my thyroid, man. We're big boned. I'm just naturally meant to be heavier, dude. I will admit that some people have a higher baseline appetite, and some people have a lower appetite. So for one guy, for him to walk around like normal, he's got to eat a lot. He's got to be fucking chowing down all day, because his stomach is constantly telling him, his stomach is constantly telling him, dude, I'm empty, man. Fill me up, dude. Come on, I'm hungry. And somebody who's a bit leaner, just walking around like normal, he doesn't have that signal to eat as much. For him, he can have he can skip breakfast, have a lunch, have like a snack, and then have dinner, and that's it. He doesn't really need to chow down. So that, I will admit, is legit. Some people are just going to be prone to eat more food than other people to reach a baseline level of just, fullness in their belly. But when it comes to people saying like, oh, well, my metabolism is too slow, or this, that, and the other, that's just an excuse, man. And it could also just be you're not super informed on how calories work, which, it's not like we learn this shit in school. Even when you have like a health class, all they're really talking about is fucking, well, I don't really know what they talk about in there. I didn't take it. But the only way to lose body fat, the only way to peel some extra pounds off your frame, it's not by standing on like a waist shaker in like those old like 60s workout videos, or standing on that platform which like wobbles up and down and like shakes you. You just have to be in a calorie deficit. Now, weight training and cardio would be a pretty good plus to this as well. But just really being active in general in your day, it's going to make that a little bit easier for you, because you're actually going to have an outlet. You're going to have something which you're actually using and burning calories to do. So instead of a guy who just doesn't really do much in a basic, in a kind of overarching sense, somebody who never breaks a sweat, more than likely they're going to be the guy who is just kind of gradually accumulating pounds, and not good pounds of fucking lean tissue. I'm talking, adipose. We're talking fat tissue here. So whether your main goal for an increased energy expenditure throughout the day is like making sure you get your 10,000 steps, or you do your 30 minutes of cardio, break a sweat, or you're just athletic. Maybe you play basketball every day after work. You don't have to sit on the seat of the bike. As long as your heart rate is elevated for like, a substantial period of time, that's going to count. And then, of course, you are burning calories with the weight training too. It's not that I don't think that. There is a little bit of, cardiovascular stimulus just from having a hard workout. Not as much as actually doing dedicated cardio, of course. But those are kind of the two, not opposing, but symbiotic forces which are going to help you lose body fat. You can either reduce the calories you're eating or increase the calories that you're expending, So we all get the gist. We all understand how that works. If I were to start doing, an hour of cardio instead of my 30 minutes of cardio, I'd probably lose fat at a little bit of a quicker rate. Or if I were to if I were to reduce my calorie intake from, I'm gonna lock it in at like 25, 27, 50-ish for now. But if I were to reduce it from there to fucking 2,000, which is, I mean, it's a little bit too low, of course, but I'm gonna start losing weight even quicker because my calorie deficit is now steeper. So I'm burning more body fat for calories every day. So in an ideal setting, you're gonna have both of those working at the same time. Right? So that's how I'm going about it. I'm doing my daily cardio, and, well, I'm doing my daily cardio and the workouts, and I'm in a calorie deficit. So it's, I mean, some people find this pretty unfortunate that you have to actually, because it takes work to track the amount of calories you eat per day. You can't just do that passively. And if you're just guessing, you're like, oh, I probably had 2,000 calories today. I can guarantee you are not that accurate. You know, it is a bit of a chore for sure. But the amount of energy that it's going to take to track all your shit, if you do want to make, I was about to say gains, but if you want to make losses, you know, fat losses, then yeah, man, you got to track your shit. Which, I know it kind of sucks. You're looking at food like numbers. You got to put it on the scale. If you're extra hungry at like 8 o'clock, it's almost time for bed, and you've only got like 600 calories left, you got to be a little bit more careful about what you eat, you know, because you could have 600 calories of ice cream. It probably wouldn't make you feel very full, and you'd still be hungry. So now that I've flipped the switch and I'm in a dieting mode, treats are getting pushed away for the most part. You know, treats are no longer a little bit of a priority. You know, I'm gonna be eating a little bit, well, I'm gonna be eating foods which make me full but don't have so many calories in them, right? Less calorie dense foods. But you know, I'm not just doing that for no reason. For me to look at, you know, a breakfast plate of, you know, 3 sunny side up eggs, a few pieces of toasts with butter, and a few pieces of bacon, or maybe a few more eggs than that, but that could easily be 800 calories or 1,000 calories right there, depending on, you know, if I make it a big breakfast. And I'll be pretty full. But instead of doing something like that, which is, I mean, it's getting close to like a third of the amount of calories that I'm going to eat for the whole day. I mean, I want to save those for later. I want to spread them out more evenly. So instead of having a big, dense breakfast like that, I'll be a little more sparse. I'll be a little more sparing. Eggs, instead of whole eggs, I'm just going to do egg whites. You know, instead of a straight up white bread toast, maybe I'll just do unbuttered keto bread toast. Dropping the carb intake from like 14 grams a slice to, you know, fucking 2, because they've got way more dietary fiber, which, you know, doesn't fucking count as calories as long as it's insoluble. And then maybe just turn away from the bacon. Just have some 0-calorie something or other to drink instead of a big bowl of orange juice. You know, we all understand the idea of like calorie smart options. This is not like groundbreaking information to hear that like, oh, if you just have egg whites, you're not going to get, you know, 5 grams of fat or, you know, 45 calories per egg eaten. You know, you're just going to get the 6 grams of, actually, no. 1 egg white is only 3.6 grams of protein. I forgot about that. So you'll have to do a few more whites than you will whole eggs for the same protein intake. But, you know, you gotta be careful with this shit. I was saying this in the last video as well. But when it comes to tracking, you'll find out pretty quickly, if you actually stick to it and really track everything, that little snacks and like condiments, all that shit, it adds up quick. You know, I can guarantee that the average American probably gets in at least 1,000 calories per day, not of dedicated like meals or anything like that, but just from walking into the kitchen, grabbing something out of the pantry, snacking on it, and then putting it back. And they don't even think about it, you know? And I'm not saying that's like a terrible thing to do. Even though I'm dieting down, I'm still gonna eat snacks and stuff. But, you know, you gotta be careful. Let's say you planned out 5 meals for your day, and it adds up to 2,500 calories. You know, a pretty solid calorie deficit. You look like you're in the right direction. But if you get a little bit lax and you say, oh, well, I just won't count this. You know, you bust out 20 Pringles in like 2 seconds. I won't count those. Sure, you may not be counting them, but guess what is? Guess what is, man? All this. Your freaking body. So all that energy that you put into like prepping your meals and weighing out your chicken or your rice or, you know, whatever, if meal prepping is the way you want to go about it, all of that effort just got fucking wasted because you said, oh, well, I'll just have this as a treat. This won't actually count. Wrong. Wrong. And to the uninitiated, that sounds like it sucks. That's the only thing I ever hear when I talk about how you should calorie track and fucking make sure you stay in a deficit and, you know, make sure you weigh everything out. Like when the normal person is going to hear that, he's like, oh, that's stupid. That is a fucking total waste of energy. Oh, I don't want to do that. But, oh my goodness, man. For the people who actually will try to start doing it, and they'll buy a food scale, and they make sure that everything they eat, they weigh out, those are the people that are actually going to be able to lose body fat. You know, like we see, what are some of the popular diets now? There's like Atkins, keto gets thrown around because people are like, oh, I don't have to track my calories, just no carbs. But then half the people who think they're in keto are still eating like a little bit of carbs, and they're totally not even in ketosis. Look, those could work, and I'm not saying they haven't worked. We've seen the before and after photos, which are like the covers of, you know, these books' headlines, like, oh, this diet works. Oh, this one works really well. I'm not so convinced. I would love to legitimately know, like omnipotently, how many people have tried certain approaches to dieting, you know, to fat loss, and compare that and like see the ratio of how many people actually got the fat loss goals that they wanted to hit. Because I say this pretty seriously. Like I'd probably put my money on this for sure. Low rank Atkins diet, any diet that's like from a book, probably low turnover rates for sure. I think keto's probably up there to people who actually stick to it. That's legit. But number one, I would say, is people who track all of their calories and make sure they stay in a deficit. It is absolutely impossible for you to not lose body fat if you're in a calorie deficit on a consistent basis. It's an absolute impossibility. And anybody that kind of argues against that, or when you see like when you see some kind of Instagram video where they're like, well, calorie counting doesn't work for everyone. You know, a calorie deficit does not work for everyone. I was about to say something really mean. I won't say it. But people who think like that, they just don't get it. They just don't see the big picture, because it's fun to think, oh, well, that's not going to work for me. I don't want to have to deal with that, because it takes work. It takes effort. Like, there's a reason why somebody who makes a legit fat loss transformation, and I'm not even talking like, you know, dieting between bulks. I mean, just a fucking normal Joe, right? Just the average dude. There's a reason why, you know, we consider that an achievement. It's because it takes fucking work for a long period of time to get the results that they want, you know? So if I were in that situation, or if somebody were to come up and ask me, like, dude, what can I do to start losing body fat? I've tried everything. I'd ask him if he's tracking his macros, you know? And of course, there's more to it than that. But I think that being like the main point of making sure you're in a deficit, you're definitely in a good starting spot for sure. And then secondly to that, as another little fat loss tip, is I would say maybe save your calories for later in the day and spread them out. Don't have too many at once. You know, so let's say I've only got 2,500 to work with. I'm not gonna blow through 1,000. I'm not gonna blow through 1,000 at breakfast. That's almost half my calories gone. So sometimes I won't even mind skipping breakfast, saving the first meal for like 10 or something, or even noon. And then, oh, I'm getting hit with the hiccups like seriously bad right now. Goodness. And then my eating window is from like 10 a.m. until I go to sleep. Until I go to sleep. So maybe 12 hours, 14 hours. So just try to, you know, evenly spread it out throughout that time period. Because I could eat one meal per day, and as long as I was only eating 2,500 calories in that meal, and I ate nothing else, calorie-wise, I'd still lose weight. I'd still lose body fat and get leaner, but I wouldn't have that much fun doing it. Because for the rest of the time, I'm gonna be fucking hungry. And sure, I get to eat a big meal at the end, so I'm like really full, but that's gonna go away kind of quick. So when I see any like one meal per day guys talking, I don't see it. Track your macros, make sure you're in a deficit, spread them out evenly throughout the day, and then not too many sweets, because anything that's really sugary is not only going to have a lot of carbs in a very small package, but it's going to make you hungrier later, because it's really going to fucking spike your blood sugar through the roof. And then when it crashes, you're going to be fucking hungry again, and you're kind of going to be tired. It's going to mess with your energy levels. Me saying this makes it sound like I don't eat a crazy amount of sugar when I'm bulking up, but it's just a little bit of a different state of being. Like if I had a glucose monitor on me at all times in a bulk, it's just bouncing all the way out, fucking up to the ceiling and then back down all over. But whenever I diet down, pretty stable. Of course, it's going to spike after you eat, but never a massive spike unless I give myself a little bit of sweets, which I'm still going to track into my daily calorie intake and make sure I'm still in a deficit. You know, I always get a lot of flack for saying, if I ate if I ate 1,000 calories per day and it consisted solely of donuts. People do not like that I say this, but I said, okay, if I locked someone in a cage and I only gave them 4 donuts worth 1,000 calories, if that's all I gave him every day, that guy's gonna get fucking lean. Now, he should be getting in more protein. He should be getting in some more, you know, saturated or whatever kind of fats per day, of course. I'm not saying this is a good state, but his body is gonna burn, let's say, I don't know, 2,000 calories a day, just because, just staying alive and like pumping out heat and breathing and doing all his bodily functions. So if you only give someone 1,000 calories, no matter what it's from, that means that other 1,000 calories, the deficit, which is in between the amount that you're eating and the amount that your body needs to, you know, stay alive, it's going to get that 1,000 calories from somewhere. So it won't just draw it out of thin air. It's going to take it from, you know, your fat stores, which you have all over your fucking body. And then it'll get fucking oxidized, used for energy, and then, you know, exerted, either from like, you know, breathing, from all your CO2, or, you know, when you take a dump. And over time, that will make you lighter, make you leaner, right? So what I'm really trying to say with that analogy, like, that's not a real situation. I'm just trying to really point out the fact that if you're in a calorie deficit day after day, week after week, for even just a month on end, you're going to get leaner that whole time. And if you hear somebody refute that, you can just go ahead and tune out. You can just tune out whatever they're saying, because it's straight out of La La Land. But I'm going to pack up all my stuff, try not to get hit by a tornado when I drive home to school, or when I drive back to school. And then I don't know what the lift is going to be tonight, because yesterday I did shoulders, and I'm going back to my full body routine, because I want to maintain my size and strength of every muscle while I'm dieting down. Because when you're dieting down in a deficit, you're not going to build muscle. You're just going to be maintaining the muscle that you've already built. So I want to hit everything equally. But I did shoulders on their own yesterday, kind of as a light day. So now I don't know what to do. Should I just jump straight into back and then get back to my normal routine? I guess you'll see tomorrow. You will see tomorrow. But main ideas: track your calories. It will work. Plus, you'll make sure you get your protein in every day. Do your cardio. I know you're probably not going to do it. I'll keep saying it. I'll keep saying it even though I know you won't do it. And then, look, man, get big. Add an extra inch in your bicep this year. Add an extra inch on your bust this year. I don't know if that's the best way to say it, but you get what I'm saying. I will see you tomorrow for whatever that lift ends up being tonight.